This is Mike Kane with Live Love Ministries. I'm here at Lake Missionary Church today sharing a lunch bite with you. Got a question. What is holiness? It's an interesting word, right? Holiness. It's mentioned, referred throughout the Bible. Moses, David, Paul, James, John, even Jesus talks about that particular theme of holiness. But what is it? But holiness is a lifestyle where we live like Christ. And you're thinking, well, wait a minute. Wasn't Jesus perfect? Yeah. So does that mean holiness means we have to be perfect? Let me be completely clear on that answer. No. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. Well, I'm close. None of us are perfect. We're all sinful. But holiness is where we strive to be like Christ. We strive to be perfect like him, although we never reach perfection. But we try to live according to what we see in his life. Holiness is being set apart to follow Christ, and we become different than the world in our actions, our attitudes, our values, the words we use, etc. That's what holiness is all about. It's when the Holy Spirit is inside of us and begins to change us and transform us, and we become more and more like Jesus, which is what we're supposed to do. The Bible talks a lot about holiness. It says, seek holiness, be holy as God is holy. Without holiness, we will not see God. It's pretty crucial, it looks like, doesn't it, to be holy, to follow the lifestyle of Jesus. Allow me to read a passage that describes how Jesus in us changes our lives and make a few comments in the time that we have. There's a fly that's bothering me, by the way. And so if you see me kind of jerking around, you'll know what that's all about. But let me read this. Colossians chapter 3, verse 1 says, Since then you have been raised with Christ, set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Then he goes on to say, put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature, sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, greed, which is idolatry. Because of these things, the wrath of God is coming. You used to walk in these ways in the life you once lived, but now you must rid yourself of all such things as anger and rage and malice and slander, filthy language. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old nature with its practices and put on the new self, which is being renewed in the knowledge of the image of its creator. Of course, a lot of stuff there, isn't there? A lot of content. But I'd like to unpack a little bit of that in our time remaining as to what this is all talking about. Since we are Christians, we have a new nature. We have put to death the sinful nature. At least that's what we're supposed to be doing. And with that as mind, there are many things which should no longer be a part of our lives. Well, what things? This passage outlines a number of things: immorality and impurity and lust, evil desires, greed and idolatry. Then it goes on to say anger and rage and malice, slander, filthy language and lying. I don't have time to unpack and define each one of them. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. And folks, I can even show you other passages of other things that should be gone from our lives when we become holy. But you see, the world sees these actions, as mentioned here, as normal. Normal, acceptable, and necessary for survival to some people, but not from God's perspective. He says these must be eliminated and no longer happening in our lives. So how can I get rid of these things in my life? Well, as you give more and more of yourself to be like Jesus, you become holy. Slowly, these tendencies, lifestyles, and practices will go away. Not overnight. It took me a while to get rid of all those things in my life. And today I'm living more and more and more like Christ. And that should be the standard. That should be what represents us. A holy life that is similar to that of Jesus. What should a holy life look like? Well, I tell you, I'm going to do a part 2. So stay tuned to my next Lunch Bite, and I'll talk about how we can live that type of life and what that life should look like. God bless.